asking for her to resign immediately.
Pressure for Cape Coral's mayor to call it quits following her walk out of a city meeting.
President Donald Trump is tackling tax reform today, but isn't ignoring a growing foreign policy issue with North Korea.
Well, summer's nearing, and if you are flying, we now know how to make sure you don't get bumped from the plane for nothing. NBC2 News Today starts right now.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News Today.
Good morning, everybody. It's 5 o'clock on this Wednesday. I'm Clay Miller.
And I'm Rachel Pierce. Thanks for starting your morning off with us here on NBC2 News Today. We are going to send it over to Chief Meteorologist Haley Webb, tracking the conditions this morning. Good morning, Haley.
Good morning, Rachel and Clay. We're starting off this morning with mild temperatures across the area, coming in at 56 degrees in the cool spot of Arcadia to 65 degrees as you look toward Naples and Cape Coral. Not a bad way to get things going this morning. What we're going to have through the day today, though, a little bit of a warming trend on the way. Here's what you see with our First Alert Live Doppler Radar Plus. No rainfall for me to track this morning. No worries for you for that morning commute. We're going to continue through the day with mostly sunny skies, which will look great. A really beautiful day is on the way. However, we could certainly use some more rain. Our fire danger does remain high. Here's your planner. Mostly sunny skies all day. We'll be 74 degrees by 10 a.m. up to 81 at your lunch hour. We'll head to a high of 86 degrees around 4 p.m. Coming up at 5:12, we're looking ahead to even more heat in your First Alert forecast on the 2s.
Residents in Cape Coral are calling on Mayor Marnie Sawicki to resign after she stormed out of a meeting with council members.
That's fine.
Mayor, there's a point of order on the floor.
Point of order on the floor.
Tempers flare during a discussion over the city's charter schools Monday night, a point of contention for months with the mayor and others. The big question now, though, is will she resign? NBC2's Gabrielle Shirley is live from Cape City Hall. And Gabby, what did the mayor have to say about all of this?
Rachel, we did speak to the mayor, and she says no, she will not resign, despite a group of people here in Cape Coral planning to protest in favor of her resignation on Monday outside of that city council meeting. Now, Mayor Marnie Sawicki, she blames her abrupt departure from the meeting on Monday and her choice words directed at some city council members on being continually bullied. She says that she points to vicious posts on Facebook and says that she's had enough. She says although she feels bad about her actions, she says she's only human.
You know, most people can only take so much. I think I've taken quite a bit for the last year. No, I don't plan on resigning. I'll finish out my term until November.
A group of about 100 people plan to be here outside of City Hall on Monday during the city council meeting. Mayor Marnie Sawicki says she expects additional security to be on hand. I'm reporting live here in Cape Coral. Gabrielle Shirley, NBC2.
It's now 5:02. Two major moves at the White House today. All 100 senators are set to receive a briefing on North Korea as the president gets ready to unveil a broad tax proposal. Plus, as Tracy Potts reports, the administration is facing new questions about former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn.
Today, the Trump administration unveils a broad outline on how it wants to rework America's tax code.
Without a plan to pay for it, that's going to explode the debt.
It's expected to include a big corporate tax cut to 15% that could severely reduce how much money the government gets.
Moderate income people, poor families, they're going to suffer from the inability to pay for the sorts of opportunity-based programs.
Also today, the entire Senate heads to the White House for a briefing on North Korea as lawmakers rush toward a Friday deadline to avoid a government shutdown.
It's a big deal, and it needs to get done.
The fact that the wall is now off the table, Americans should breathe a huge sigh of relief.
President Trump's backed off his demand for $1 billion to build the wall with Mexico. Now the White House is dealing with a new request from Congress, paperwork showing whether fired National Security Advisor Mike Flynn disclosed payments from Turkey and Russia.
You simply cannot take money from Russia, Turkey, or anybody else.
To ask the White House to produce documents that were not in the possession of the White House is ridiculous.
That's simply unacceptable.
New questions as President Trump closes in on his 100th day. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
And a federal judge blocked the Trump administration's threat to take federal funds from sanctuary cities. The judge sided with Santa Clara County, the city of San Francisco, and other jurisdictions. They argued, taking away the funds could be unconstitutional. The ruling applies nationwide. President Trump's chief of staff says they will appeal.
An update this morning on the 30th Avenue fire in Collier County. It's now 75% contained, but still more than 7,000 acres. The Golden Gate community has been showing gratitude to fire crews for handling the massive flames. From thank yous to prayer requests, it's obvious that this community appreciates the firefighters' hard work. For a week now, hundreds of emergency crews have been working hard on little sleep, trying to protect families and their homes. Captain Brian Heath has been there for it all.
Were you ever concerned?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This was the most intense fire I've ever been a part of.
Since the fire isn't contained yet, firefighters will most likely be out there for at least a week watching hot spots. A brush fire sparked near the Immokalee Airport, but it's already completely contained. It burned about 23 acres last night. Bulldozers are on scene working to put out hot spots.
An update to a case out of Charlotte County. Detectives say 2 men found in a burned out car in Punta Gorda were murdered. Yesterday, the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office released the names of the victims. They are 19-year-old Emmanuel Marmolejos and 27-year-old Anthony Espinosa. They're both from Miami. When the car was found last December, we spoke with one of the victim's sisters who did not know why her brother was in Charlotte County.
I feel angry and upset at the same time because somebody know what was happening.
The car was found near a foster home. However, there does not appear to be any connection there. New this morning, documents say the Tennessee teen kidnapped by her teacher was abused by her mother. 15-year-old Elizabeth Thomas's mother will appear in court next month to face 5 counts of abuse and neglect involving several of her children. She has pleaded not guilty. The girl's father filed for divorce Monday, citing the alleged abuse. Thomas was found safe with her 50-year-old teacher, Ted Cummins, last week at a cabin in Northern California.
The owner of the Pulse nightclub wants to build a memorial on the club's property. 49 people were killed inside the club when the gunman Omar Mateen opened fire. In the months after the massacre, the city of Orlando proposed buying the club so it could be turned into a memorial, but the owner turned down the offer. The owner plans to announce details for the memorial next week. When you're out walking the dog, watch out for toxic cane toads. We're getting reports of people spotting them in Naples and in Fort Myers. They're called bufo toads. If a pet licks or swallows one, it could become sick and die. Symptoms of cane toad poisoning include excessive drooling, red gums, head shaking, crying, loss of coordination, and convulsions. If your pet comes in contact with one, take them to the vet immediately or wash out their mouth until they get better. A fracking investment bill could undo court rulings. Florida power companies may soon be able to charge customers to fund out-of-state fracking projects under a measure moving ahead in the Florida legislature. Yesterday, a Senate panel approved a bill that would undo a 2016 Supreme Court ruling that said companies are overstepping their authority in doing so. Power companies defended their push for the measure, saying it would save customers money when it comes to natural gas prices.
It's now 5:08. An update on former President George H.W. Bush this morning. He's still in a Houston hospital. Yesterday, a doctor said the president has recovered from pneumonia but continues to deal with chronic bronchitis. They expect to discharge him by the end of the week. Once home, Mr. 41, doctors will continue aggressive treatments. HW is 92 years old. A NASCAR favorite is waving the white flag and calling it quits. Dale Earnhardt Jr. says this racing season will be his last. He has suffered many concussions. His last one forced him to skip most of last year's season. Earnhardt is a third-generation race car driver. His father was racing legend Dale Earnhardt Sr. Of course, he died in 2001 at a crash during the final lap of Daytona 500.
I've accomplished way more than I ever dreamed. Way more than I ever thought I'd accomplish. So I'm good. You know, I'm good.
Earnhardt will finish his driving career at the Homestead Miami Speedway on November 19th. Yeah, he's really good, and his dad was fantastic, and that's a great racing family. 5:09 right now. Lehigh Acres is cracking down on what you can burn this morning.
Ahead at 5:30, how this could turn up the heat on Lee County. And then in 15 minutes, neighbor trouble in Fort Myers when a gunshot startles a couple just sitting on their couch.
And with the rain that we had last weekend, well, of course, that comes the mosquitoes. NBC2 News Today goes behind the scenes to see what Lee County is doing for protection. And next, a must-see tweet about an anticipated Disney sequel.
Good morning. It is 5:12. It's time for your first alert forecast on the 2s, and the temperatures across southwest Florida right now are coming in anywhere from 56 degrees in Arcadia to 65 degrees as you start your morning in Naples, 66 for those of you waking up in Cape Coral. So we're off to a pretty mild morning. We're also waking up to mainly clear skies. That's what we see on our First Alert Live Doppler Radar Plus. No rainfall, a couple of fair weather clouds. We'll continue with that same sort of view through the day today. Now here's our forecast mode. If you think back to the past couple of days, we've had onshore breezes coming in. Today, things are different. Our winds are going to be coming in from the southeast and then more southerly as we head through the day. And that's going to pump in a little bit of warmer air and a little more humidity too. So you may notice a different feel to the air this afternoon, and especially through the next few afternoons as we continue to get more of that heat and humidity to come in on those southerly breezes. We'll have some passing clouds and a good amount of sunshine. Overall, we'll call it mostly sunny skies as we head through the day today, but we're still staying dry. Nothing to help out with our fire danger as far as any rainfall. 86 for the high today, 83 to 84 even if you're headed toward the beach. We've got our fire alert in place today, and look at what happens through the next few days. We're up to 91 on Thursday, 92 on your Friday. Our lows are going up towards 70 degrees. With more humidity in place, it's harder for those overnight lows to cool down, so we've got some warmer mornings on the way. We'll continue with mostly sunny skies and, yes, dry conditions. We'll look ahead through the weekend with your first alert forecast on the 2s at 5:22.
After getting more than 4 inches of rain in some parts of southwest Florida, mosquitoes and the ones who fight them are coming back. We have video of the Lee County Mosquito Control Helicopter flying over a neighborhood in Fort Myers. Monday, mosquito control scientists canvassed areas near the water like the Salt Marsh near the Devonwood community, and aerial spraying followed. These mosquitoes, they don't have the Zika virus, but those that do are coming this summer.
We do expect to see more Zika this year. There's plenty of countries that are within those travel belts that people would be visiting that still have active Zikas.
Staff at Mosquito Control will be double checking the spraying they did today to see if it was successful. They're also keeping an eye on rain and where it pools, and those are the spots they'll be treating next.
New right now, Aaron Hernandez's suicide notes could be released. The former NFL star allegedly wrote 3 notes, one to his fiancée, one to his daughter, and one to a fellow inmate, Kyle Kennedy. Reports have said Kennedy might have been Hernandez's jailhouse lover. Kennedy is serving 3 to 5 years for robbery. Lawyers for Hernandez and Kennedy are asking for the letters to be released to the families. A commission in Oklahoma is asking for the state to continue its temporary execution ban. There has been a halt on executions since 2015 when it was botched in the state. The commission's report recommends a much more humane approach where a single lethal drug is used. Typical executions use 2 or 3 drugs. On Monday night, Arkansas put 2 people to death, and they plan to carry out another execution later this week.
Any information on where they drinking, where they doing anything like that?
No, it's something with an oversoul and involunteer or something like that.
Oh, you guys overbooked the flight? This was a departing flight?
Yeah.
New video and audio this morning from the United flight where the man was dragged off to make room for an airline employee. The security officers' reports of what happened say Dr. Dow refused to leave and fought the officers. The video does show him refusing to leave his seat before being grabbed, but he was not being violent. 4 security officers have been suspended. And new this morning at 5, a record number of Americans are expected to fly this spring and summer, and that could cause some problems at the airport. We found out some ways to prevent getting bumped from your next flight. If you're flying to your vacation destination in the coming months, brace for a packed plane.
Each flight that you're on as a consumer, as a passenger, is more than likely overbooked.
That's because airlines expect a certain number of passengers to miss each flight. But sometimes more people show up than anticipated, forcing airlines to seek volunteers to be bumped. Or if that doesn't work,
please approach the podium at gate 44.
To choose ticket holders to bump. A reservation made well in advance is no guarantee.
At this time, we'd like to invite our Summit members.
Most commonly, we see it go from the back to the front, meaning an economy passenger is more susceptible to being bumped than, say, a first-class passenger.
Frequent flyers and airline credit card holders also get priority against bumping. But there are other protections for flyers.
People are afforded rights under the Airline Passengers Bill of Rights.
Included are guidelines about the compensation you're entitled to if you do get bumped.
It is a grid system, and it is very accessible on the Department of Transportation's website.
But even if you think your passenger rights are being violated, make sure you always follow crew instructions.
If there is a matter, even if you think it is not legal or you think it's unjust, the big issue here is to comply and don't escalate the situation.
That's to ensure your summer getaway doesn't get away from you. Experts suggest not volunteering if a flight is overbooked. Airlines can offer vouchers, limitations, or less money if you were involuntarily bumped. If you do volunteer, don't be afraid to negotiate.
5:17, big news for two beloved movie franchises. First, for Jurassic World 2, Jeff Goldblum is coming back to reprise his role as Dr. Ian Malcolm. Goldblum was in the original Jurassic Park movie back in 1991 and its sequel. One of the filmmakers behind Jurassic World shared these pictures on Twitter of the new film, which hits theaters next summer. Jurassic World made $1.6 billion in 2015 and is the #4 film of all time. And if you thought Disney's let it go, think again. Disney Animation announced a release date for Frozen 2. It will come out in 2019, so not going anywhere. Kristen Bell, the voice of Anna, retweeted Disney saying, quick weather forecast from your favorite Disney princess's sister. Theaters are going to get Frozen on November 27th. Frozen, of course, a major hit when it came in theaters in 2013.
I mean, the theme parks at Disney changed when that movie came
gosh,
out. I mean,
yeah.
it's huge, huge,
Yeah,
huge.
I would think #2 is going to do pretty well leading up to it.
5:18. Stopping a fire is only half the battle.
All new at 5:30 in just about 12 minutes. We find out from a Lee County task force how they determined the cause. Plus this.
This is one of the shells or one of the bullets here.
What a story these two have to tell. A Fort Myers couple says neighbors fired bullets into their apartment.
And this morning, we are starting off with dry conditions across southwest Florida. I'm tracking more heat in your first alert forecast on the 2s.
And get your day started bright beginning at 4 a.m. with Early Today, followed immediately by NBC2 News Today with the team you count on starting at 4:30.
Good morning. It is 5:22 and we're starting off the morning with our temperatures ranging from 56 to 65 degrees. That's a pretty mild start. There is a warm spot of Cape Coral at 66 degrees. Naples are 65 as you step out the door, and Port Charlotte comes in at 60. Not bad as far as what we see on our First Alert Live Doppler Radar Plus. For your morning commute or that morning walk, you've got mainly clear skies. For the fire danger, though, we are dry. And we're going to stay dry as we go through the next few days, so that fire danger is and will remain high. In fact, the soils will continue to dry out. But in the air, we're going to get a little more moisture to come into play. The humidity is going to go up, but not enough to really give us any rain. So here's your forecast mode as we go through the day today, focusing on those winds. If you think back to the past few days, we've had winds coming from the west, coming onshore. Today, the winds are taking on more of a southerly turn. That southerly turn helps to send in warmer, more humid air. Winds today will generally be around 10 miles per hour as we go into the lunch hour, 10 to possibly up toward 15 as we head through the afternoon. But they keep coming in mainly from the south. There'll be a little bit of a southwesterly tilt this afternoon, but overall that southerly direction is still going to be in that wind component as we go through the day today. A beautiful day with mostly sunny skies as we head to 86 degrees. That's a little warm, and yes, we do have the fire alert in place again today. 2 footsies, a light chop on the inland waters if you do plan on boating. And through the next few days, more heat and more humidity. Look at these highs. After today, the rest of the 7-day forecast is showing highs in the lower 90s. Our lows are working their way up into the lower 70s. And with more humidity in place, we'll see a few more clouds by the weekend. We may even get a stray shower or two with our sea breeze coming into play as we go through the weekend as well. At 5:30, I'll have your planner for today in your First Alert forecast on the 2s.
Good morning. Checking in Charlotte County where things are looking pretty good on the interstate. There was a crash here overnight, but FHP says the roadway is now clear and you can see traffic moving along just fine in both your north and your southbound direction. I am seeing some delays in Lee County. If we can head over to our maps, I'll show you exactly where those are. US 41 right near 6 Mile Cypress. You can see in your north and your southbound delays. There are some slowdowns in the area. Keep this in mind as you head out of the door. I'm Terry Hornstein with your NBC2 Traffic Alert.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by StormSmart. Hurricane season is coming. Is your home ready? Visit stormsmart.com today.
A Fort Myers couple feared they were under attack after their neighbor upstairs started shooting and the bullets barely missed them. So this happened at the Forestwood Apartments on Brantley Road. Devin Knowles says he was just sitting on his couch when he was almost hit by 2 bullets. The 2 ran for cover and called 911. Look at those holes. Those are in the ceiling. When deputies arrived, they found heroin and a syringe at 43-year-old Richard Shields' apartment above them. Investigators say he was high when he decided to clean his gun, accidentally firing the 2 shots.
You don't want somebody who has heroin or some type of addiction to actually have a gun.
If this is the behavior that took place when he was on heroin, I don't know what to expect from him.
Shield faces drug and weapons charges. The Knowles said they are talking to their property managers about getting away from him.
Cuba's Bay of Pigs has been invaded again, not by U.S.-backed anti-Castro forces, but by millions of red, yellow, and black land crabs. Each year after the first spring rains, the crabs march for days, wreaking havoc along the way. Look at all those. Their stench, yeah, that fills the air too, and their sharp shells puncture car tires. Similar crab migrations occur in other parts of Cuba at the same time of the year. A San Antonio police officer responding to a loud party ended up joining in on the fun. A group of kids were having a dance-off event when the cops were called in. After they arrived, one officer surprised everyone by dancing alongside and showing the kids some moves of his own. Parents said with some officers getting a bad rap these days, it was nice to see this kind of fun side of law enforcement. That's pretty good. Got some good moves there.
Yeah.
526, a man in court for a traffic violation walks out in handcuffs for a heftier charge.
Yeah, all new at 6. See what he dropped right in front of the judge.
Oops.
Yeah, plus this.
How old are you?
7:45.
At 5:45, police say a mom led police on a drunken chase with her 2 kids in the car.
People in Lehigh Acres are waking up to a burn restriction this morning. But what will it take for Lee County to issue a county-wide burn ban? That's ahead at 5:30 a.m.
Lehigh Acres is trying to turn up the heat on Lee County by joining other areas in Southwest Florida on ruling on burning.
A deadly and dangerous road runs right through Southwest Florida. Find out what people want done to make it a safe ride.
And must-see video this morning that will frighten parents. NBC2 News Today starts right now.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News Today.
5:29 on this Wednesday morning. Good morning. I'm Rachel Pierce.
And I'm Clay Miller. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for starting off your morning with us here at NBC2 News Today. Chief Meteorologist Haley Webb is here and talking about the conditions as we wake up this morning. It's been a nice little change for at least a couple of days now.
Yeah, and it continues this morning. But after this morning, we start to change again. We're starting off with temperatures right now from 55 to 65 degrees across the area. Arcadia being the cool spot. Then you've got Naples, Cape Coral, and Sanibel all sitting at 65 degrees right now. These are mild temperatures for this time of year. We're also starting off with mostly clear skies, couple of these fair weather clouds. This is our First Alert Live Doppler Radar Plus. Now there's no rain, which is good news for that morning walk or jog, your commute into work. Bad news for the fire danger. We do continue with a fire alert in place again today. Today we're going to be a little bit warmer than yesterday. We'll have mostly sunny skies all day. That's going to look really nice. Winds coming in with more of a southerly turn on them will help us to warm up and bring in a little more humidity. It'll be 65 degrees at 8 a.m. up to 81 degrees at your lunch hour. We'll top out with a high of 86 degrees, a little on the warm side this afternoon. We'll be back toward 85 at 5 p.m. Now looking ahead, we've got even more heat and humidity on the way. I'll show you that in your First Alert forecast on the 2s coming up at 5:42.
Right now, we're taking a live look outside in Collier County. This is I-75 right near Pine Ridge Road. No major issues out there in Collier right now. Really, the interstate looking pretty good as you head out of the door this morning. But let's head over to our maps. I want to show you an area I often talk about. US 41 heading into North Fort Myers, already moving slowly this morning. Take a look at that yellow there as you approach Pondella Road. But the good news, those drive times, if you're heading across the bridge, the Caloosahatchee northbound, the average speed right now, 44 miles an hour. It'll take you just 2 minutes. I'm Terry Hornstein with your NBC2 traffic alert.
531 Lee, Collier, and Charlotte counties have had their share of flames, covering thousands of acres over the last few months. To protect themselves from future fires, burn bans are being issued. In some cases, it's entire counties, but in other instances, it's individual areas. Now there is a fire restriction in place in Lehigh Acres as you wake up this morning. This comes just days after a 360-acre fire destroyed 4 homes.
Now, some people are hoping this puts some pressure on Lee County to step up their rules. NBC2 anchor Lucas Seiler is live from Lehigh Acres from the Fire Control District. And Lucas, what's new for the area there?
Well, Rachel, Clay, good morning. This means that you cannot burn anywhere in your yard in Lehigh Acres, although leaders are still allowing you to use your grill. This all comes after this 360-acre brush fire that happened last week that sent people rushing to keep flames away from their homes. In the end, 15 structures were damaged. More than 100 homes were surrounded by flames, but firefighters were ultimately able to save those homes. Now, Lehigh Acres fire commissioners want to make sure they don't have to deal with this ever again. Meeting just last night. It's important to mention that fire commissioners cannot legally call this a burn ban. That is something that Lee County would have to implement. And by issuing this restriction, Lehigh Acres hopes that Lee County commissioners will implement it.
I think it's a great idea. I think it needs to be done. There's so much dryness here, so many trees that can just light up with.
Both the cities of Fort Myers and Cape Coral have implemented burn bans of their own within city limits. Lehigh Acre fire commissioners say that they are going to write to the Lee County commissioners until they implement a ban. But we talked to Lee County and they said that dry conditions are just not bad enough, referring us to a 2001 ordinance that sets a standard for when they can issue a burn ban. Live in Lehigh Acres, Lucas Seiler, NBC2.
There is a special group of investigators who dedicate their time to find the cause of these wildfires in Southwest Florida. There are 5 Lee County Arson Task Force members. The force will investigate large-scale fires and wildfires. Part of their job is getting to the scene early to find the origin of the fire and evidence left behind. Plus, talking to witnesses are the main ways the task force determines the cause.
I don't think people really get a grasp of how fast and how intense these fires can grow.
Now, the task force was recently called out to a nearly 400-acre fire in Lehigh Acres, and investigators interviewed a witness who took a video of the fire first sparking, which led the task force to find out a discarded cigarette butt was what started that fire.
All right, meteorologist Haley Webb is here right now. And Haley, you're going to explain kind of what Lee County is looking at and how these burn bans really come in place.
Well, we've talked about with the burn ban and how do you get to a burn ban? And we talk about this KBDI number.
Yeah, what is that?
And we talk about how it has to get up to 700. Okay, here's what we have. These are the KBDI numbers all across Southwest Florida right now. You can see Lee County is at 525, Charlotte County is at 624, Collier County at 557. Well, these numbers can go as high as 800. That's the maximum number. 800 would indicate that we are missing 8 inches of water that the soil could hold. So we're 8 inches away from saturation. So to use Lee County as the example, with that number being 525, that means we're missing 5.25 inches that the soil could hold. So the soil potentially could hold another 5.25 inches of water that is not there. We've missed out on a lot of rain, even during dry season, we're low, and then you add in evaporation each day. And so, yeah, our soil could hold a lot more moisture than what it has there. When these numbers get to 700, that's when Lee County issues those burn bans. Clay?
All right, Haley, thank you for the information. 535, Charlotte County banned outdoor burning effective immediately. Yesterday, the fire chief says He felt the ban was necessary after Friday's cattle dock fire that burned 83 acres and forced the evacuation of several homes. Now, people are still burning trash in their yards in Collier County despite a burn ban. The county issued its first burn ban since 2009 last week. All outdoor burning is prohibited. People who break the rules can be fined up to $15,000. The Florida Forest Service says if you cause a wildfire, you could also be charged for the cost to fight it. They say this man was just given a warning about burning.
I was very surprised after all the evacuations that had happened over the weekend. I think it was very inconsiderate to be burning and not obviously thinking about all the homes that he could endanger in this neighborhood.
Once again, like the other bans across the Southwest Florida, you are allowed to grill outside as long as the area around your grill is clear.
New court documents in the Markeith Lloyd trial show the relationship between Lloyd and his ex-girlfriend leading up to her death. Documents say 8 minutes after Sade Dixon had been pronounced dead, Markeith Lloyd allegedly sent a text message to her phone saying, quote, "I don't know if you're going to make it. Hope you don't." 3 days earlier, Dixon had moved out of Lloyd's home after a violent dispute. He kept texting her, but she didn't answer. Right before she was shot, Lloyd texted her saying, quote, "All you have to do was answer my calls." Lloyd is also accused of killing Orlando police officer while on the run.
It's now 5:37. A rare briefing will take place at the White House later today in the final week of the president's first 100 days. All 100 senators have been invited to the White House to attend a special briefing on North Korea. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, the Director of National Intelligence, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff will all attend the meeting. The briefing was originally scheduled to take place at the Capitol, but President Trump suggested a change to the White House. President Donald Trump is scheduled to unveil his broad outline of a tax overhaul today. Mr. Trump will propose slashing corporate income tax rates and steeply discounting the tax rate on overseas corporate profits brought into the United States. A part of his plan would propose a massive cut in the corporate income tax, reducing the top rate of 35% to 15%.
A GoFundMe page has been set up to help with a memorial for a Fort Myers high school student who was murdered. The page says Heidi Shin, an 11th grader, was a foster child. Investigators say last week, 47-year-old Jonathan Jensen shot and killed his 37-year-old wife, Tiffany, as well as 18-year-old Shine. He then turned the gun on himself. The family lived in Lehigh Acres. A Cape Coral utility worker was electrocuted when he touched a power line near City Hall. We first brought you the story's breaking news at noon Tuesday. The man was working for Mastic, a company hired by LCEC. We're working to find out his name and if OSHA is investigating.
Hey, come over here. Keep your hands where I can see him and get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
New right now, some raw dash cam video was released and it shows a Michigan police officer encountering a group of boys and drawing his gun. This happened last month. Police say they had received reports of teenagers carrying a gun and that the boys matched the description of the suspects. Officers later learned that all of the teens they detained were unarmed. Take a look at your screen. This video is shocking. So let's start by saying this little girl is okay. Surveillance in China catches the moments a 2-year-old runs into the busy street. You see the toddler in a pink coat disappears. It says not one but 2 cars go right over her. After the cars pass, the toddler reappears. She's lying face down on the ground. Her grandmother then rushes over and takes the little girl into her arms. Amazing. She just suffered some minor bruises here, but she's over a foot or two here, a foot or two there.
Oh, that could have been bad.
That's trouble.
That is scary video to see. I'm glad she's okay.
Yeah, we had that one girl fall out of the bus this week, and then seeing that. Thankfully, fortunately, both of them have made it out okay.
540. Cape Coral's mayor not backing down after a confrontation with council members.
Coming up for you at 6 o'clock, we hear exclusively from the mayor about what went down. And next, if you're being woken up by more planes than usual in Fort Myers, we have the reason why.
Good morning. It is time for your first alert forecast on the 2s with a mild start to the day. Temperatures right now coming in from 56 to 67 degrees. It's 64 in Naples, 65 as you wake up in Cape Coral. Today, a big part of the story, will be the winds. They've taken on a little more of a southerly component. That's going to help us to warm up. Here's what we're seeing so far, though. Dry conditions, mainly clear skies. We're going to continue mostly sunny as we work our way through the day today. Here's your forecast mode. You see the time going by here. Mostly sunny conditions this morning. Winds coming in mainly from the east and southeast. We will have a few clouds today, especially as you look toward the coastline. But overall, sunshine really wins out. We've got a few passing clouds, mainly sunny skies. Look at the winds. They continue to come in from the south, and then this afternoon a south-southwesterly turn. With that southerly turn on the winds, compared to that westerly breeze of the last few days, we're going to have more heat and more humidity in the forecast today and especially the next few days. Pollen counts in the medium range today, Thursday and Friday, so that's a little bit of good news for you. 86 for the high this afternoon puts us just on the warm side of average. We do have a fire alert in place again today, and look at what happens with these temperatures the next few days. Our highs are going into the lower 90s and our lows will be near 70 degrees, mainly sunny with more humidity. We'll look ahead to the weekend and your first alert forecast on the 2s at 5:52.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by StormSmart. Hurricane season is coming. Is your home ready? Visit StormSmart.com today.
Inland County, we're already starting to see some delays build on Winkler. Take a look at your southbound lanes moving very, very slowly out there. Give yourselves a couple of extra minutes if this is part of your morning commute. I'm also seeing some delays right now on State Road 82. You can see those delays as you approach Colonial in your southbound direction. Another area to just keep in mind as you head out of the door. Let's take a quick live look outside in Collier County. This is right near Collier Boulevard. Take a look at how quiet it is out there. No major issues on I-75. Still a great looking morning on the interstate. I'm Terry Hornstein with your NBC2 traffic alert.
Some Fort Myers neighborhoods are waking up to twice as many planes flying overhead, and they can blame construction at Page Field for that. Renovations of the main runway began last week, leaving only one runway open. All the air traffic now flies above neighborhoods like McGregor Reserve, where they say planes fly as early as 6 a.m. and as late as 11 p.m. Neighbors tell us they've sent emails asking for adjusted flight hours, but Page Field representatives say most planes there are private and pilots don't have to tell them when they take off after hours. Construction is expected to last 90 days, but neighbors don't want to wait that long.
I understand the upgrades that need to be made. I can certainly appreciate that, but I think that as a community, someone in the community, that we should also be respected for our investment in the neighborhood.
Page Field representatives say they chose after the season and before rainy season as the best time to begin their construction.
Police in New Mexico say a mom led them on a drunken chase with her 2 kids in the car. The aftermath of the incident was captured on video.
Someone needs to come and get the kids. You're going to jail for DWI. Yep, turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Albuquerque police say 23-year-old Sherlina Charlie nearly hit other cars, crashed into a median, then hit a parked car in a neighborhood before finally coming to a stop. Once in jail, she told officers she's led police on high-speed chases before, and next time she's not stopping. Freestanding emergency rooms are popping up around the country, but be aware of the sticker shock. Some patients are confused that these pop-up ERs with urgent care centers are leading to big surprises when their bill arrives. The facilities aren't physically attached to the hospital, but charged like emergency room care. Treating simple bronchitis can cost nearly 10 times more. That means even patients with insurance can be on the hook for a lot of the cost. Some operators have been sued for not disclosing prices.
A group of buyers, including Derek Jeter and Jeb Bush, have won the auction to purchase the Miami Marlins. The price of the sale was $1.3 billion. Bush would be controlling owner, with Jeter having an active role. Forbes estimates that the Marlins' value is at $940 million. The Florida Everblades have forced a Game 7 tonight at Germain Arena. The first round of the playoffs were not supposed to be this hard. The Everblades dominated the Orlando Solar Bears during the regular season, but lost the first 2 games of the series. After 2 wins in Orlando to stay alive, the Blades pulled off a win at Germain last night. I promise you, it'll be louder tonight if you go. That forces tonight's decisive Game 7.
Maria Sharapova returns to professional tennis today after a 15-month drug ban. Sharapova has been suspended for 15 months. She tested positive for a heart disease drug. Sharapova said she's taken it for years, and it was added to the banned substance list. Sharapova won an appeal to reduce her punishment to 9 months. This week's tournament surprised some by giving Sharapova a wild card spot. Today is the first day she is eligible to play after that ban. It takes some people a lifetime to bowl a perfect game, and a Syracuse man was able to pull it off in under 90 seconds. Look at him go.
That's unbelievable.
He rolled 12 straight strikes in all 10 lanes. You can see how he's just pulling it off by going straight down the line, one roll for each lane, knocking down a strike each time.
Unreal.
Ball gets away. Coughlin racing to the plate. The throw is not in time, and an incredible slide by Coughlin.
Amazing. That's something you don't see every day. The Toronto Blue Jays, Chris Coughlin, was heading for third, but after the ball got away from the outfielder, Coughlin got waved into home when he realized he wasn't going to beat the throw. Goes Superman on him. Takes to the air, diving over the catcher. Coughlin actually tagged home with the top of his helmet. The Blue Jays, by the way, won the game by a run, by 1 run.
Is that
may have been the difference?
I guess that's legal to do?
It's legal, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know, and I catch myself here. I know in Little League, we're not allowed to jump with our go in the air with your feet.
Right.
But there, I mean, if you go head first like that, you can go over them.
And I could be ruled like he didn't mean to. It was like a split decision because that guy was going under him.
And he went up over, and it's legal. And
it worked.
They got to. That's awesome. 5:50 right now. A Fort Myers woman is spinning for a fortune tonight.
All new at 6, a preview of her moment in the spotlight. But first, a dangerous road that crosses the country and why people here worry about the stretch they drive.
And follow NBC2 News Today on the go. You can live stream the newscast or tune into Wave 101.1 FM on your radio. We're off to a mild start across the area this morning. Temperatures are in the 50s and 60s. I'm tracking warmer weather on the way in your first alert forecast on the 2s at 5:52. Good morning. It's time for your first alert forecast on the 2s, and this is our first alert live Doppler Radar Plus. Showing you we're off to a dry start this morning. We have mainly clear skies. Yeah, there are a few clouds here and there. Overall, we're going to stay with mostly sunny skies through the day today, which will look pretty nice. Temperatures are mild, coming in at 56 degrees as you look toward LaBelle and Arcadia, to 67 for Sanibel Island, at 65 in Cape Coral. And Naples, you're waking up to 64 degrees. The winds over the past few days have been coming in from the west. Today, we switched things up. They're coming in mainly from the east this morning, but we'll see more of that southeasterly and southerly turn on the winds as we go through the day today. And they'll pick up toward 10 and at times even 15 miles per hour. Let me show you with the forecast mode here. We'll work our way through the morning hours with the winds pretty light. As we head into your lunch hour, those breezes do start picking up. They're heading toward the 10-mile-per-hour range, and you'll notice the wind flow lines here indicating that southerly turn on the breezes. Continue through the afternoon. They're still mainly from the south. Might get a little bit of a southwesterly tilt, especially near the coastline, and they pick up toward 10, 15 miles per hour. With those breezes continuing to come in from the south, that pumps in more heat and more humidity. So you'll notice a little bit of a different feel, but it's going to be a beautiful day with mostly sunny skies. And yes, we do still have a fire alert in place today. 2-foot seas, a light chop on the inland waters if you're boating. And through the next few days, we've got our temperatures going into the 90s. We're heating up. That southerly breeze sending in more of that warm, humid air. So we'll have the highs in the lower 90s. Our lows are working their way into the lower 70s as we finish the week. By the weekend, when the sea breeze comes in each afternoon, we may even pick up a stray shower because of all the moisture that will be in our atmosphere. Coming up at 6, I'll have your planner for today in your first alert forecast on the 2s.
Right now in North Fort Myers, we are dealing with some delays. Take a look at Business 41 as you head in the southbound direction towards the bridge, towards the Edison Bridge. Moving very slowly there. You can also see the intersection with Pine Island Road moving very slowly as well. Pine Island in your eastbound direction. Give yourself some extra time if you're heading out in this area in the morning. We do know this area of North Fort Myers does get pretty backed up. Heading down to Collier County, a really smooth commute so far this morning. If you are heading out on the interstate southbound on I-75 from Immokalee Road to Golden Gate Parkway, well, people are going a little bit fast out there. 82 miles per hour, the average speed. It'll take you just 5 minutes. I'm Terry Hornstein with your NBC2 Traffic Alert.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by StormSmart. Hurricane season is coming. Is your home ready? Visit StormSmart.com today.
Staying on the roads here, a new study ranks US 41 as the second most dangerous road in the country. The list was compiled by Geotab, a fleet management company out of Canada. 4 of the top 5 deadliest roads are in Florida. 10 years of traffic data were studied for the number of deadly crashes. You can see US 41 came in at number 2 with about 700 fatal crashes in the last decade. NBC2 talked to drivers. Most were not surprised by the findings.
Number 2 is a little, that's bad for the whole country.
I drive it every day and I'm getting ready to get on it right now, so it's not real safe.
It's a road to avoid if you can. You take the back roads.
And I'm sure many of you know we're just a small portion of it. It's important to remember that US 41 is a major highway and it runs from Miami north all the way to Michigan.
All new this morning at 6.
Cape Coral residents calling for the mayor to step down after a tirade caught on camera. She tells only NBC2 that it won't happen. New this morning, Lehigh Acres is under new burn restrictions as the fire risk increases. Plus, and all new at 6, NBC takes a closer look at how a task force spots the cause of these fires. Join us at 6 o'clock.